Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So today we are going to discuss about the amendment which took place in August 2019 and also the proposal of RBI for housing finance companies. So let's get into the video. So first of all, I would like to discuss about the background. It's ground, okay, sorry for the spelling mistake. So it's background, and in August 2019 the government has exercised Finance Number 2 Act 2019 for amending the National Housing Bank Act 1987, resulting in transfer of regulation of housing finance companies to Reserve Bank of India from National Housing Bank. So it is clearly understood from this statement that the regulation of housing finance companies, that the transfer of this regulation has transferred from National Housing Bank to Reserve Bank of India. Now let's talk about the present situation now. In this regard, on June 17, 2020, RBI being a new regulator, since RBI has become a new regulator for housing finance companies, has proposed changes to be prescribed for housing finance companies with an aim to increase their efficiency and address concerns of liquidity and double financing. So this is the key important terms about the liquidity which Indian economy is facing due to NBFC crisis before the COVID-19 pandemic, and also the problem of double financing. Now what is double financing? I will explain it within just seconds, okay. So now what are the amendments, key amendments that RBI want for HFCs? So first one is minimum net owned funds. So RBI wants the minimum net owned funds requirement for HFCs to increase from presently 10 crore to rupees 20 crore. RBI proposes to increase the minimum net owned funds for HFCs from the current requirement of rupees 10 crore to 20 crore in order to strengthen their capital base. So for any kind of company, whether it is in a banking sector, in a financial sector, or any kind of sector, a main thing that is required for proper functioning is capital. Is capital. And right now everyone is facing this problem, this liquidity problem, especially the NBFC sector. Now existing HFCs will get 1 year. So this amendment, that according to the proposal, RBI wants that this amendment should take place in that existing HFCs will get 1 year to reach the level of 15 crore and 2 years to increase it to the 20 crore. See, everything can't happen in just one day. Everything needs time. So that's why what they are thinking about it, that it should be done in a phased manner. Now the question is, what is net owned funds? As per the explanation given in section 45 of RBI Act 1934, net owned funds means the aggregate of paid up equity capital and free reserves as disclosed in the latest balance sheet of the company after deducting therefrom. So it is a paid up equity capital plus free reserves minus any kind of accumulated balance of loss, deferred revenue expenditure, and other intangible assets, and also the amount of such company in shares of its subsidiaries or any company in the same group. Now these definitions should be considered as per the Companies Act 1956, and also all other NBFCs. The book value of debentures, bonds, outstanding loans and advances made to and deposit with subsidiary of such company. Now this company is where what I am talking about is about the HFC, that the one who has to increase its minimum net owned funds from the presently 10 crore to 20 crores, and also the companies in the same group. So this is just a technical definition. If you know the first part clearly, then that's perfectly all right. You need to understand what is the net owned funds basically. Now the second amendment is increase in CRAR. Now what is CRAR? Capital risk to asset ratio. The formula is tier 1 capital plus tier 2 capital. You must have heard about these terms while reading the balance sheet of any financial institution, especially banks, and on denominator we have risk weighted assets. Okay, now for HFCs the minimum capital risk weighted asset ratio is currently at 12%. Now RBI wants that it should be increased to 14% by 31st March 2021 and 15% by 31st March 2022. So basically what RBI wants that it should be increased from 12% to 15%. Now let's talk about the third amendment, the classification of HFCs, that is housing finance companies, into systematically important and non-systematically important entities. Now what the thing with HFCs is that while it is under the regulation of NHB or before or presently, that there is no such category or classification of HFCs into these two categories, which should be there, that such kind of graded approach should be done so that particular policies should be very targeted in nature. Every entity is very different according to their asset size, according to the nature, according to the exposure they have. So let's get into the amendment now. Proposed amendment. So it is proposed to issue HFC regulation by classifying them as systematically important and non-systematically important, so as to introduce a graded approach. Now according to the proposal, RBI wants that systematically important HFCs will be the non-deposit taking HFCs with asset size of 500 crore and above, and all deposit taking HFCs irrespective of the asset size. So remember one thing, that for non-deposit there is a threshold that there should be the minimum asset size of 500 crore, and for all deposit taking HFCs they all will be considered as systematically important HFC, and for non-systematically important the asset size will be below the threshold of rupees 500 crore. Now at the time when the HFCs were regulated by NHB, that is National Housing Bank, there was no particular definition about the housing finance, but according to the proposal RBI wants the particular definition of housing finance. So why are they thinking about this in the targeted approach? This is being done so that they can make policies, they can provide relief to the NBFCs as per the requirement. If there is, suppose if we talk about the systematically important HFCs, if something happens to these kind of HFCs, then there could be the big problem on economy. You must have heard about the concept of too big to fail. Same concept here lies with systematically important HFCs. That's why there is a need to be very targeted in nature, to make policies to such an extent that such kind of benefit to be reached to non-systematically important HFCs as well. Alright. So now the definition of the term housing finance. In the draft framework released on its website, RBI said housing finance will now mean financing for purchase, construction, reconstruction, renovation, repair of residential dwelling unit, and some other activities including giving loans to corporate and government agencies for employee housing projects. So this is very easy definition. I hope that you must have comprehended by now. Now the definition of qualifying assets for housing finance companies. So what is it about? It's about what kind of assets up to a minimum threshold which is decided by RBI for calling them housing finance companies. Accordingly, housing loans for HFCs. Housing loans must account for 50% of HFC's assets, so which at least 75% should be towards individual housing loans. So let me try to explain through an example. Suppose the HFC asset is equals to 100 crore. Now what RBI is saying in its proposal, that these housing loans must account for 50% of these HFC's assets. Housing loans will be 50%. So 50% of 100 crore will be 50 crore. Simple calculation, right? And asset of which at least 75% should be towards individual housing loans. Now the 75% of this 50 crore. So 75%, I am not going into the calculation, you can calculate it on your own. So now this amount should be, this is the minimum amount. Right now I am just calculating it on the minimum threshold. So this should go for individual housing loans. This is what RBI is talking about. Now HFCs which do not fulfill this criterion, these will be treated as NBFC, investment and credit companies. So this is, now you will think that yes, this is the particular definition of who are called housing finance companies. Before this there is no clear cut definition about what is housing finance, who are called housing finance companies, which of them are very systematically important and which of them are not. So this is what RBI is thinking about right now. Now those HFCs which do not fulfill this criterion will be called NBFC, investment and credit companies, and will be required to approach the RBI. Now they will need to approach the RBI for conversion of their certificate of registration from HFC to NBFC ICC, that is NBFC and investment and credit companies. Now what is the roadmap for those who doesn't fulfill this criterion but still wants to continue as a HFC? They don't want to convert into the NBFC ICC. So RBI has given them the option that you need to follow these set of rules. What is that? That they need to 60% by March 31, 2022, 60% of HFC's assets, of which at least this is a 75%. So in the next slide I have talked about this only. So yes, 60%, then 70%, then 75%, again phased manner. So you can easily notice that this has been increased to such a in year 2022, after 2 years approximately. This has been done because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And now the sixth proposal is the role of financial assets. An HFC will be treated as NBFC, non-banking financial company, if its financial assets are more than 50% of its total assets and income from financial assets is more than 50% of its gross income. So it can be clearly understood that that the main revenue, that the main source of revenue for this HFC is not any kind of individual housing loans, it is financial assets. That's why they will be called NBFC as per the RBI proposal. Next one is the issue of double financing. Now what is double financing? Double financing is the practice of engaging with multiple financial providers to secure financing against the same underlying asset. Right now I am just telling you the general definition, then I will get into the amendment. So first of all, double financing. Suppose you have a house. Alright, so you have a house and you need a home loan, and you approach bank A, B, C. You approach bank A and get the house worth is say 10 lakhs, and bank is ready to give you 5 lakhs, but you are not satisfied. Then again you approach bank B on the same underlying asset. See what is happening. On the same underlying asset, you are approaching bank B and again getting the loan of say 5 lakhs, and bank C, and the bank C is willing to give loan of 4 lakhs, and they are not aware that that there are already other banks as well who has financed this loan. So what you are see the numerical part. So 5, 5, 4. 14 lakhs. For the home of worth rupees 10 lakhs. Now you can see what is the major drawback of this double financing. What is happening over there, that the bank has an exposure to this client. Bank has an exposure to this client at of around say 14 lakhs, the collective exposure of around 14 lakhs for the house of rupees 10 lakhs, which is very risky. So to avoid such kind of situation, RBI has taken various steps. So right now I'm not getting into this detail. If you want any detail, then you can post it down in the comment section below. Now this is the double financing. Now what is happening in the case of HFCs? In the case of HFCs, that HFC usually lend to construction company and buyers of output of those construction company. This created a problem for HFC model. Their business model was flawed, in fact is flawed. So suppose there is a construction company ABC Limited and they are making a house, and for buying this house there is a buyer and there is an HFC. What HFC is doing, this is HFC is providing loan to ABFC Limited for the construction of this house and also to the buyer for the purchase of this house. So you can see that the underlying asset is just this house only. For the same economic activity, there are two loans to be provided by HFC, which creates a problem of more risky nature of business model of HFC. Now according to the proposal, HFC can now either lend to a real estate company or to the home buyers in the project of group entities, but not to both. This is a very good step I must say, because this is really important, because the business model of housing finance company is flawed because of this nature. Now also HFCs cannot take exposure of more than 15% of owned funds to one company. You must have heard about the concentration risk. Let me try to explain this term. Suppose there is a person, there is a bank ABC, and it has 100 crore as capital, as deposits. So it wants to lend, and there is a borrower who needs 80 crore. Now what the bank is doing, bank is ready to provide the whole 80 crore and the bank has only 20 crore. Now think about the situation, if this person defaults, then ABC Limited, ABC Bank will not be able to meet the requirements of the depositor. There will be a run on the bank, there will be the crisis, and also if this is a systematically important bank, then there will be the concept of too big to fail, that yes, it will lead to a problem on economy. So such kind of risk should not be there. So to avoid this concentration risk, HFCs cannot take exposure of more than 15% of owned funds to one company. So to one company, this should not be more than 15%, and for the same group, companies of same group, this should not be more than 25%. So that's it for today, and if you have any doubt regarding any kind of finance question or economic question, then you can post it down. Please feel free to ask, and happy learning. Thank you very much for your time.